Okay, and as you can see, we've done some work here with this. Now I'm going to show you what I did there. I decided to jump ahead, so I did about 3/4 of the landscaping here. And I left a little area right around in here that's actually not done yet, even though it all looks about the same. So we're going to cover all of that in just a second. But first, you get to go gather some supplies if you want to do this. Now, I do mine, well, everybody does this a little bit different. There's a lot of materials that are on the market for model train scenery that work great. I tend to use real dirt, and that's what these are here. Those are my dirt samples. I never really do any huge scenery, so the dirt is fantastic because it's, well, it's free. In fact, this dirt right here is from my yard. But what I would suggest doing is, if you do collect any dirt, and it doesn't have to be sand, all you need to do is sift the dirt in a fine sifter, and I don't have mine here, but you can either use a fine sifter or you can use the screen door material as a sifter, and it'll sift out just like that. And you can see it's really, really fine. You can also use grout that you can find at Home Depot. That works really well also. I've used that in the past. It works great. You can pick your colors that way. These are blended leaves. Believe it or not, these are leaves that we just raked up in our yard, and I put them in a blender and just chopped them up, and this is going to be the debris that will be under trees, if I have any trees. I haven't decided that yet. These are the rocks that are left over from the sifted sand, and they work great as little extra rocks and so forth. There's a shortcut to that also. These are some of the twigs that I've been collecting around the neighborhood when I go on my walks. They work good for little trees, dead little trees. Over here, more rocks. But this is what I wanted to show you. This material right here is the plaster that's left over in the bottom of your plaster mixing bowl or cup. And you just basically let it dry, dump that out, smash it up, and dye it or color it. I just used acrylic gray paint, watered it down, let this stuff soak in it for a while, put it out in the sun to dry, and you can see I've got perfect little shale pieces that we're going to use for like right there. And there's actually quite a few of those studded all over the scenery when you look at it. These are ones I just recently made, and I colored these to match this scenery. So if I was to come in here and just place these on here, you can see they almost match perfect. And I can do little rubble pieces. So that's what I've done, like right there, over there, down in there. The key to making these look great is just to blend it, and you want large pieces. Well, we got large pieces. Medium pieces, well, those are medium pieces, and small pieces. And you can see we've got a lot of small debris mixed in there as well. Also, here's another trick. This is coconut fiber mat, and I got this one at Home Depot. They usually sell it in the gardening supply area, and they're using hanging baskets. If you're not familiar with it, just ask anyone at Home Depot if they have coconut mat material. They use it for all sorts of things. They also use it in doormats. Get a close-up of it there. And I've just chopped this by hand, but you can blend it as well. And I do that for the dead grass that's kind of stuck into some of those little crevices. Now, once you gather all your materials, and that really is the fun part, so go and gather some cool materials. I would suggest you just go gather them. It's a lot more fun. It's free. They last forever. Then you can see we've just filled in those areas with dirt. Now I'm going to be showing you how to do that, but the neat part is, and this is still wet, so it's not going to be as dramatic as I'd like it to be. If I touch this, this is solid. And you might see a little bit of pieces flying around. That's because it's still wet. But this will be rock hard when I'm done. None of this here will move. It'll all be glued into place. And if you've not done that before, it's really cool. This area over here, to give you an example, what I mean, this over here isn't been glued. See, that moves around there. I left that so I could show you how to do it. But if I zoom in over here and touch this, this is all rock hard here. And all of these pieces here, well, almost all of them, are glued into place. I'm actually a layer of glue short to really nail those down, but all of that dirt in the grooves, everything, that's just going to stay right in place. So I can move these around, I can put them in the car. I'm not going to get dirt in the house. Everything will be solid. Even this material here, this is solid. It's all glued. And it's really cool how we're going to do that. Okay, so we're going to fill in this area between about here and here, all the way up. And then we're going to glue in all of this area down here that I've already laid out. And we'll lay out a little bit of dirt down in here just so you can see how it's done. I'll get set up and we'll get right to it. Okay, I've mixed up a mixture of dirt here that I'm going to be using. And it's just a dark brown, and that's what mostly you're looking at. Now I've colored a few areas with some lighter dark dirt. We'll get to that in a second. This will be plenty. Just what I've got here. Remember, that's just sifted dirt from my yard. Get a close-up of it. It looks great. I have not sterilized this. Some people bake this in the oven. I've never had any problem with mold or smells or anything like that, but if you want to, you can bake it if you're... Okay. I think that angle will work a little bit better. Now for this, I'm going to be using a few things. I do have a brush here. This is mainly just to act as a broom, really, as a broom, and to position some of the materials around. And I'm just going to be using this cup to pour the materials in place. And hopefully I can get around the camera here, and I'll try to show you how I do this. So you don't need to be neat. You just pour some of this material in there. Then come back in with your broom, your big sweeping brush here, and just move it around. And I really want all those rocks to kind of set down in place so it looks like they're covered with dirt. Don't be afraid to get up into the rocks and just let it drift down like real dirt would. Something like that. Just kind of sweep it off. And I like to kind of play with this like it's real. I mean, you can do this however you want. So I like it when it sort of falls off the higher rocks and covers up the lower rocks. Get all of this sand off of here, because the way we're going to set this in place, it's going to glue all of that exactly into place. So see, we just kind of blend that along the rock, because if there was a rock there and there was dirt nearby, chances are you would have some dirt up on the rocks. I mean, that rock's probably been there for 100 years. Don't worry about the tinting of the rocks by the dirt. That's all fine. You can always brush it off if you want a little bit more gray. And I'm going to use this darker dirt to just fill in the potholes, and I'm just using my hand to kind of fill them in. This is going to be the dirt in the bottom of the pothole. And we don't have to get it exact because we're going to come back in here and reposition some of this stuff, but some places are obviously deeper than others. Okay, so now we're going to come in here and just kind of position this. And this is going to take a little while, so I may cut away. I'm going to move the camera back here a little bit, and point it down to this area. And I'm going to go ahead and fill this in. Now, I didn't mention before, but I've changed my plans a little bit with this, in that I'm going to have some wet areas, kind of like little gullies. And those are built in. So if you notice some ditches kind of built in there, well, that's what those were. Also, I've put tape around this so that I have a little edge, so that my sand doesn't fall off on the edge. Don't be afraid to get some dirt on the rocks. That'll just help the realism. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Okay, now the fun part. I'm going to rearrange the camera here. Okay, for this next part, we're going to need a few things. You're going to need some spray bottles, and they're going to need to have a real fine mist. So you don't want any little drops coming out of your spray bottles. I'm going to be using these two. Also, you're going to need something that will drop water or liquid, kind of like this one, onto the surface of your diorama. Now I use these. These are condiment squeezy things. I got these at Walmart. They're like $1 a piece. This one, the water comes out a little bit too fast, but I know a lot of people that use these. Also, you're going to need Mod Podge. Now, if you're not used to this stuff is fantastic. You can get it at Walmart, you can get it at Hobby Lobby, I'm sure you can get it at Joann's Fabrics, any place that's got fabrics or hobbies, anything like that. White glue has a gloss to it. It doesn't work well for this. What we're going to use is Mod Podge, but make sure you get the matte finish. Very, very important. It's a water-based sealer. It's basically a glue. We're going to water this down, 1 part to 2 parts water. We're going to put it in one of these spray bottles, and we're going to spray it on our diorama, and we're going to drip it on our diorama, and you will be amazed at the results. Also, I didn't mention it before, but I use this clear gel tacky glue to glue in any of the rocks or the plants that are on my dioramas. I like that clear tacky glue because it dries real quick, dries super fast, and it accepts paint really well. One last thing you're going to need. This is my Mod Podge mixture. We're going to use that. But one last thing that you're going to need is rubbing alcohol. The rest of the world, I think, calls this isopropyl. And it doesn't matter if it's 90%, 70%, or anything else. It's not going to matter. We're going to use this to break the surface tension. If we don't use rubbing alcohol, then when we put our Mod Podge mixture onto the diorama, it's going to ball up and roll around because there's surface tension. This stuff is like magic, and it's going to make everything except that Mod Podge contraption great. All right, we'll be over there in a second to start gluing all this stuff down. Okay, and as you can see, I've put up some foam core just to protect the back of my work area from overspray. I don't care if this mat gets glue on it. I swap these out every year anyways, but you would want to use newspaper. It's going to get pretty messy, so you might want to do this outside, but don't let any wind or anything blow your scenery around. This stuff's pretty delicate at this point. Remember, this side over here is already sealed and mostly set. This side over here, from about here over, isn't. In fact, you can kind of see the border right there. So first thing that we're going to do is use our alcohol and spray that on. And I'm just going to spray this on. So I'm going to give it a few test sprays down here, make sure it's not going to drip. And I'm just going to spray this on, and I hope that shows that mist. We're going to use a lot of this. Can't really overdo it too much, just to the point that it's almost puddling on there. Now it dries really quick, so we'll now spray on the Mod Podge. Now, it's just spraying it isn't going to do it. All this is going to do is seal a lot of this kind of dusty area. So again, I'll give it a few quick test sprays and spray this on. This stuff will look shiny when it goes on, and it doesn't matter if I get the part that I've already done. you can apply numerous coats. But I really want it almost pooling up. It's going to dry completely matte. You won't notice it. So even though it's kind of shiny back in here, it'll dry matte, trust me. Okay, and now the next thing we're going to do is go through with our 1 part Mod Podge, 2 parts glue. It's about the consistency of milk. And because I sprayed that alcohol on it, what's going to happen is when this hits the surface, it's going to accept it immediately. It's going to just seep right in. And after that alcohol dries a little bit, I'm going to have to spray some more. Otherwise, when you put this on your scenery, it's going to ball up or sit on the surface. And you can see there I used a little bit too much, but it's really not going to matter. I want a lot of this to hold all this sand in place. So I really don't care if it balls up. See how when it hits the surface, it immediately seeps in. And that's what we want to see. We don't want it flowing and taking any of that material with it. Now, while I've got this sprayed, I'm going to go back over the areas I've already done and seal them with another coat because I think it could use it. I'll be right back. Okay, so I've put this Mod Podge mixture on the whole thing. There's really not much to it. And you could use any material that you want. So again, you can use pre-made materials for train set scenery or train hobby scenery. Dirt, chopped up parts of things. I've used everything from air conditioner filters to foam to you know, stuffing that you put in pillows for plants. So you come up with whatever you would think will work. All of this will dry a lot lighter, so the next time we see it, it will look like it did exactly before, except everything will be sealed into place. So that's going to do it. I'll try to leave a list of the materials that I use down below, and we'll be back and finish this thing up in the next episode.